Have you ever stumbled across something online that made your skin crawl? Not because it was overtly horrifying, but because it felt real? Tonight, I'm going to share with you 5 of the most disturbing Reddit threads I've ever found. They aren't ghost stories or creepypasta. They're the kind of posts that make you lock your doors and check your windows twice before you go to bed. Why did my neighbor keep knocking? Have you ever woken up from a deep sleep by the sound of knocking? Slow, deliberate, almost polite? It's not a frantic pounding that signals urgency. No. It's more unsettling because it feels patient. That's exactly what happened to me on a Thursday night in early October. I lived alone in a duplex on the outskirts of a quiet town, the kind of place where the silence after dark feels almost sacred. My only neighbor was Ms. Albright, a reclusive woman in her 40s who barely left her side of the house. We spoke maybe twice, and even then, her voice was low, almost apologetic, as if she thought even speaking to me might be an inconvenience. That night, at exactly 2:03 a.m., I woke up, not because of a nightmare, not because of some noise inside. It was the knocking, soft, rhythmic, at my front door. At first, I thought I imagined it. I lay there listening. 1, 2, 3 slow knocks, a pause. Then 3 more. Pulling on a sweatshirt, I tiptoed to the door, my heart tapping against my ribs. Through the peephole, I saw her, Ms. Albright. She stood rigidly under the porch light, wearing a long nightgown that fluttered lightly in the breeze. She wasn't holding anything. She wasn't in distress. She was smiling, not a warm, neighborly smile. No, this was wrong. Her mouth was stretched too wide, too stiff, like it had been forced there. Against every instinct screaming at me to leave it alone, I opened the door, just a crack. "Ms. Albright?" I said, voice low, cautious. She didn't answer. She just stared at me with that mechanical grin. Seconds ticked by. "Do you need help?" I asked again, a little louder. She shook her head. A slow, deliberate movement, and without a word, turned and walked back toward her side of the duplex. I watched her until she disappeared into the darkness. The porch light flickered once and then went out. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, bleary-eyed and jittery from lack of sleep, I decided to check on her. Maybe she'd had some kind of episode. Maybe she was sick. I knocked on her door. No answer. I tried again, louder. Nothing. Something didn't feel right. I called the non-emergency police line and explained the situation, feeling stupid even as I said it out loud. They arrived within 15 minutes. After several unanswered knocks, the officers forced the door open. A rush of stale, metallic air hit us. Ms. Albright was found lying face down in her living room. The coroner estimated she had been dead for at least 3 days. The horror didn't truly sink in until that night. Lying in bed, mind racing, trying to process it, I thought about the woman who knocked on my door. Her stiff smile, the way she moved, the way the porch light died as she turned away. If Ms. Albright had been dead for 3 days, who had I seen standing there? My mind reeled with possibilities. A hallucination, a sick joke, some malicious stranger. But nothing fit. The police searched her house thoroughly. No signs of forced entry. No strange footprints outside. One officer, a heavy-set man who seemed a little too superstitious for his job, quietly told me, "Sometimes when people die, especially when they die alone, part of them doesn't realize it yet." I didn't respond. What could I say? All I know is this. For weeks afterward, at exactly 2:03 a.m., I would wake up to the sound of soft, slow knocking. I never opened the door again. Eventually, the knock stopped. But even now, years later, I still sleep with a chair pushed against the door. Just in case. Because deep down, I know something that the world tries very hard to make us forget. Some things die, but they don't always leave. There's someone living in my attic. The first night I heard it, I thought it was just the house settling. An old place like mine, with its creaking pipes and timber bones, had a symphony of nighttime noises. But this was different. It wasn't the groaning of wood or the hum of the fridge. It was footsteps. Soft, deliberate, and impossibly light, as if someone was crawling across the attic floor. I lived alone. Always had. It started around 1:14 a.m., a strange hour when the world is at its stillest. When the darkness feels heavier somehow, the steps would move from one side of the ceiling to the other, then stop, as if listening. I tried to rationalize it. Squirrels, maybe raccoons, some wild thing finding shelter as the cold months approached. But something gnawed at the edge of my mind, ease I couldn't swallow down. 2 days later, I noticed little things out of place. Leftovers missing from the fridge. The bathroom mirror fogged up when I hadn't taken a shower. The faint smell of sweat and mildew lingering in the hallway. Still, I told myself it was stress. Loneliness does strange things to a person. It invents ghosts. But when I found muddy footprints in the laundry room, small, human footprints, I stopped pretending. That night, I decided to set a trap. I installed a cheap security camera in the living room, pointed directly at the hallway leading to the attic's pull-down ladder. If something, or someone, was sneaking around, I'd catch them. I barely slept, staring at the monitor on my phone, heart hammering with each creak of the house. For hours, nothing happened. Then, at precisely 3:13 a.m., the attic hatch creaked open, slowly. From the darkness above, a hand emerged, pale, trembling, fingers stained with dirt. Then a face, thin, gaunt, eyes wide and unblinking like an animal caught in headlights. A man, in his 30s maybe, but he looked older, like whatever life he had left was draining out of him. He crawled down, movements jerky like a spider learning to walk on 2 legs. The man shuffled into the kitchen, opened my fridge and began eating cold chicken with his bare hands. He chewed mechanically, staring directly into the security camera, as if he knew I was watching, as if he wanted me to. When I gasped, the feed flickered. Static engulfed the screen, and by the time it cleared, he was gone. I called the police, my fingers numb, my throat dry. They arrived in minutes, weapons drawn. The attic was raided. Hidden among the beams and insulation, they found a nest, blankets, empty food containers, dozens of crumpled pages covered in scribbles, drawings, dozens of them. Drawings of me, sleeping, working, sitting on the couch. One showed me brushing my teeth. Another, changing clothes. He had been living above me, watching me, for over 9 months. I remember sitting on the curb outside my house that night, wrapped in a blanket the police gave me, as the officers led the man out in handcuffs. He didn't resist. He didn't speak. He just stared at me, with those hollow, cavernous eyes, a small smile playing on his lips. The kind of smile you give someone you know intimately. The kind of smile you give a pet, or a possession. The detective later told me that cases like this weren't as rare as people like to believe. You'd be surprised how often people live in someone else's home without them knowing, he said. They find cracks to slip through, spaces we forget exist. They watch, they wait. That night, when I tried to sleep at a friend's house, I couldn't shake the feeling of being. I would close my eyes and see his face just above me, his breath warming the darkness between us. I moved 2 states away. I triple-locked every door, nailed shut every attic, sealed every vent. But sometimes late at night I still hear it. The soft tap 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 of feet above me. And I wonder if I ever really left him behind, or if he's still up there, waiting. Voices through the baby monitor. It started with whispers. At first, I thought it was just interference. Baby monitors are notorious for picking up stray signals. Police radios, taxi dispatchers, even other monitors nearby. Nothing supernatural. Nothing sinister. But the thing about ordinary things is, they stop being ordinary the moment they turn against you. The first night, I was folding laundry in the living room when I heard it. A soft crackle from the monitor, followed by a murmur. I froze. The monitor was perched on the coffee table, the screen showing my daughter's crib bathed in the soft night vision glow. She was asleep, tiny fists curled up by her cheeks. Then I heard it again. A voice, low, male, whispering. I inched closer to the monitor, holding my breath. "Come closer. Come outside." The words crawled out of the tiny speaker, sticky and slow, like something rotten oozing into the room. My heart slammed against my ribs. I bolted upstairs, taking the steps 2 at a time, throwing open the nursery door. Empty, except for my daughter, still sleeping peacefully. No one there, no open windows, no signs of forced entry. I tried to tell myself it was interference. Some trucker's radio bouncing into my frequency. That's all. But it kept happening. Every night, always around 2 a.m., the whispers would start. Soft at first, then clearer. Sometimes they'd say her name. Other times they'd just breathe. Long, slow inhalations, like someone savoring the scent of something sweet. I stopped sleeping. I started recording the audio, hoping to catch it. Hoping someone else could hear it and tell me it was just bad reception, that I wasn't losing my mind. One night, I caught a clip. I posted it anonymously online. Within hours, it was flooded with comments. "This isn't interference. That's someone speaking directly into the microphone. Check your house. Now." I called the police. They did a full sweep. Nothing. No signs of entry, no footprints, no fingerprints. But the whispers didn't stop. Then came the night everything fell apart. I was in bed, staring blankly at the monitor, the familiar static hissing in the background. Suddenly, the camera feed flickered. Instead of the crib, the screen showed the window, the nursery window, wide open, curtains billowing in the night air. Panic seized me. I tore through the house, heart pounding so loudly it drowned out everything else. The nursery door was ajar, swinging slightly on its hinges. Inside, the crib was empty, the blankets tossed aside, the window yawning open, letting in the cold. I screamed my daughter's name until my throat was raw. I called 911, incoherent with terror. The police arrived within minutes. They searched the house, the yard, the woods beyond. Nothing. No signs of struggle. No footprints in the damp earth outside. It was as if she had simply evaporated. The investigation dragged on for months. Flyers, news reports, candlelight vigils. No leads, no suspects, just silence. The only clue was the monitor itself. When the detectives pulled the video feed from that night, they found one final frame, frozen like an unwanted memory. A man's face, pressed against the inside of the window, his lips twisted into a grotesque grin. His eyes wide, pupils blown out into black voids. One hand reaching toward the crib. No one recognized him. No fingerprints, no DNA. Just a face burned forever into the pixelated haze of the monitor. I moved out a week later. I don't use baby monitors anymore. I don't use cameras. I don't trust the static. Because sometimes, late at night, when the world is silent and the shadows feel too close, I swear I still hear it. That voice. Soft. Patient. Calling from somewhere just beyond the walls. Come outside. And even though I know better, some small, broken part of me almost wants to listen. The man who followed me home. The first time I saw him, I didn't think much of it. Just another face in the endless sea of strangers you brush past every day. Tall, wrapped in a threadbare gray hoodie, head bowed, hands shoved deep into his pockets. Standing under the flickering streetlight at the bus stop across from my building. Silent. Still. Watching. I noticed him because he never boarded a bus. No matter how long he stood there, no matter how many buses came and went, he never moved. Just stood, waiting. After 3 nights of this, curiosity gnawed at me more than fear. Maybe he was homeless. Maybe he was lost. Or maybe he was waiting for someone. Someone like me. It was Thursday night when it escalated. I had worked late, dragging myself home through deserted streets, my breath fogging in the cold air. As I rounded the corner onto my street, I saw him again. Same hoodie, same stillness. But this time, he wasn't standing under the light. He was at the mouth of the alleyway, half hidden in the shadows, facing my building, watching. I quickened my pace, heartbeat hammering in my ears. Keys jingling too loudly in my shaking hands, I fumbled at the front door, glanced over my shoulder. He was gone, or so I thought. Hours later, as I lay in bed, cocooned under layers of false safety, I heard it. A faint, deliberate knock. Not at my apartment door. At the front entrance to the building. 3 knocks. A pause. 3 more. I lay frozen, listening. Every nerve screaming at me to stay hidden. Another knock. Closer this time. From the 2nd floor landing. I knew, with a terrible certainty, that he was coming up. Step by step. Slow. Deliberate. When the soft knock came against my door, gentle, almost tender, I finally moved. I killed the lights, sank to the floor, held my breath. A shadow slipped across the bottom of the door, blocking the hallway light. Lingering. I don't know how long we stayed like that. Me holding my breath. Him standing silently inches away. Then, as quietly as he had come, he left. Or so it seemed. The next day, I filed a police report. They nodded sympathetically but told me there wasn't much they could do. Could be a homeless guy. Try to stay with friends for a while. The officer suggested, scribbling notes without looking up. I went back home anyway. Stupid. Prideful. I told myself it was a fluke. I was wrong. It was around 2:47 a.m. when I woke to the sound of my phone buzzing. A notification. I groggily opened it. A motion alert from the cheap security app tied to the building's entrance camera. The grainy black and white footage showed him, standing directly in front of the camera, face hidden beneath the shadow of his hoodie. Motionless. Watching. My blood ran cold. Then he moved. Not toward the door, not toward the street. He turned his head, impossibly slow, and looked straight into the camera, into me, and smiled. It wasn't a wide, maniacal grin. It was small, almost affectionate, like he was greeting an old friend. I watched, paralyzed, as he lifted one hand and pointed upwards, toward the 3rd floor, toward me. The police never caught him. The footage was too blurry. No clear facial features, no fingerprints, no signs of forced entry. They said maybe it was a prank, maybe someone playing a sick joke. But some things don't feel like jokes when you wake up at 3 a.m. and hear slow, deliberate footsteps outside your bedroom door. When you find your apartment door slightly ajar the next morning, even though you know you locked it. When you start seeing glimpses of a gray hoodie at the end of crowded supermarket aisles. When you catch a reflection in a window and realize you're being watched. I moved. Again. Far away. No forwarding address. New name on the mailbox. But some nights, when the air is still and the world is asleep, I swear I can feel it. That quiet, steady gaze. Waiting. Somewhere out there, he's still looking for me. Or maybe he already found me, and he's just waiting for the right time to knock again. My last post. It wasn't supposed to be anything. Just another random, anxious post in the void of the internet. Another desperate voice among millions, venting into the digital ether, praying someone, anyone, would listen. I didn't expect it to become my epitaph. It started small. The little things you barely notice until it's too late. Keys missing from the hook by the door. The faint smell of cigarette smoke lingering in the hallway, even though I don't smoke. The TV turned to static when I knew I'd turned it off. Easy to dismiss at first. Work stress. Forgetfulness. The creeping paranoia that comes from living alone for too long. But when I started waking up to the sound of breathing, heavy, raspy breathing, just outside my bedroom door, I knew something was wrong. Terribly, fundamentally wrong. I tried rational explanations. Maybe the plumbing, maybe the neighbors, maybe my mind slipping in the lonely hours between midnight and dawn. But deep down, I knew. I knew I wasn't alone. Not anymore. I set up a chair under the doorknob, wedging it tightly. Slept with my phone clutched in a death grip. The breathing still came. Slow. Deliberate. Waiting. Every night, closer. First by the door, then by the foot of the bed. I never opened my eyes. I was too afraid of what I might see. Tonight felt different. The air was heavy, like the sky before a storm. The kind of stillness that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up before your brain even registers why. It was 3:42 a.m. when I heard the first creak, floorboards, just outside my room. Then the soft scrape of fingers against the door, dragging slowly, like nails tracing the wood. I froze, clutching the phone so hard it hurt. Noises again, the rattle of the doorknob, the shudder of the chair wedged against it. It wouldn't hold long, I knew that. I opened Reddit, my fingers shaking so badly I could barely type. I think someone's inside my house. I hit post. A useless cry for help, because already I could hear it, the chair splintering under pressure, the door creaking open, inch by terrible inch, the breathing now filling the room, hot, wet, hungry. I wanted to look. God help me, I wanted to look. Something primal in me screamed that if I saw it, if I acknowledged it, it would be real. And then it would never leave. So I squeezed my eyes shut. I felt it move closer, the weight of its presence sinking into the mattress dipping slightly under an invisible pressure, fingers brushing lightly against my hair, breath against my ear. A voice, so faint I almost convinced myself I imagined it. You look so beautiful when you sleep. The phone slipped from my hand, clattered to the floor. I didn't pick it up. Couldn't. I stayed frozen, barely breathing, until the first gray light of dawn filtered through the curtains. When I opened my eyes, there was nothing there. No sign of forced entry, no broken door, no footprints, just a single thing left on the nightstand, a Polaroid photo of me, sleeping, my mouth open in a silent scream I didn't remember making. I deleted my Reddit account that morning. Not that it matters, because every night since, the breathing comes back, the scratching at the door, the slow press of weight on the mattress. It doesn't care if I moved, if I hide, if I pray, it always finds me. And tonight, it's closer than ever. I can feel it standing just behind me now, reading this over my shoulder, smiling, waiting. If you're reading this, if you hear a soft knock at your door tonight, don't open it, don't answer. Because some cries for help aren't meant to be answered. They're meant to invite something in, and once you let it inside, it never leaves. Not all monsters lurk under your bed. Some watch you, quietly, from across the street, from your attic, from just behind your door. Sleep well tonight, if you can.